This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
You're up for a hilarious night when Dane Cook returns to the Island Event Center. See his legendary style of stand-up comedy live at Treasure Island Friday, October 24th. All the details now, TICasino.com.
Second hour, 9 to noon. Guardsy filling in for PA today. I've got my co-host, the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm, hanging out with us as well. We are on campus today from Gopher Football Media Day. We'll have more football discussion coming up at the bottom of the hour when presumptive QB1 Drake Lindsey joins us at 10:30. But we're going to keep the basketball conversation going for the next couple of segments. We just had Dawn Plitzowite on the women's side. Now new men's basketball coach Niko Medved joins us here in the old Hall of Fame building. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Great to see you guys. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
We said with Dawn, this is a very sneaky, busy time for college basketball coaches. So you're fresh off a plane from Vegas, basically. You've got practice right after this, and then I'm sure you've got recruiting later in the week. So take us through what's going on this time of year for college coaches.
Well, we're thick in the AAU recruiting right now. So, last weekend was a lot of times the major shoe companies, have their tournaments. I went right to the summer league then. I've been there for the last 3 days, got back last night, practice today, early tomorrow morning, and then head back out on the road. This next weekend's the last AAU segment of the summer. And then we get the 8 weeks in the summer to work out with your guys, which is so invaluable, so we were doing that. We're about week 5 into it right now. So we got 2 more weeks here at the end of July, mix of team practices, individual workouts. Then we give them about 3 weeks in August, and then we'll come back that last week of August before school starts in Labor Day. That'll be our 8th week. So it's been great. Guys are working. It really allows me to get to know them, kind of them get to know coaches. But you're right, June and July are really busy.
How many times have you said, whether you're recruiting or calling a high school coach or AAU, Niko Medved, Colorado State, before you have to correct yourself and it's Minnesota? Have you made the full transition? Are you locked in here now?
So it took me, it's funny, I've locked in. The first couple days of team practice, I'd be like, all right, green versus gold. You know what I mean? And the guys would tell me, no, it's maroon versus gold. I'm like, all right, I promise, guys, I'll get that. So, all those guys were giving me a hard time, but it took me about a day and a half, and I'm all in, Guardsy. So, no, it's been great. But, yeah, there was a little bit
no
of
Rams on 3s happening right now?
No Rams on 3. We changed a couple of our terminology. Our motion offense we used to call green. Now, of course, it's gold.
Yeah.
So we've had to make a little bit of terminology change. But, yeah, I'm all in now.
So does it feel – I mean, obviously, when you coach your first game, it'll feel real. But, you're going to get this question until you don't. Is it still a little surreal? I mean, you're back home, driving around. Things probably look a little different than when you last lived here full-time. But take us through that whole part of it.
I think that's true until we coach our first game. I will say, though, at the Summer League in Vegas, I really had a hit-home moment. I got an opportunity to spend some time with Coach Haskins, who was out there. That really helped it. I told Coach, I said, it just doesn't feel right. I'm down in the office, and I'm sitting in his chair, that he sat in, and it was an incredible full-circle moment for me. It's kind of hard to even talk about that way, and seeing some of those guys, out in the Summer League too. So that was really kind of a hit-home moment, this full-circle life kind of thing that really hit me, a couple of days ago. And so every day that goes by, you feel that way. But then once you get into practice, it's practice. It's no different than any other place that you've been. It's kind of what you do and what you love. But I thought this week, it really kind of hit home again that this is real and we're here, and I'm really excited about it.
Give us an update. Share what you want to, what you're comfortable with, of your conversations with Coach Haskins and what that's been like, and what the last couple days getting to hang out with him for a while has been like.
I kept in touch a little bit. He's a basketball guy, so he would watch our games, no matter where I was coaching. But it was really good to connect. A lot of former players were out there too, so he gets an opportunity to do that as a coach. That's what you love more than anything, I think, and getting a chance to connect with your former players and their families and all that. So coach coach will call down there, and he'll be out on the farm, baling hay or whatever. He lives in Kentucky still, but still loves basketball. He does love the U, and I know a lot of people love him, and so it's great. You get him going a little bit. He just wants to ask about you and how you're doing, but then you get him going, and he's going to start to give you advice pretty quick. Niko, now you gotta, so some things never change.
What advice does he give you, or I guess what did you learn from him when you were a manager back in the day, going all the way back to the 90s?
There's so many things that you do, but the thing that stands out to me is just the way he galvanized the program. I mean, I thought he brought so much energy and passion from our fan base, our stakeholders, the players. I mean, he really just created a deep investment in the program, and you just see that now. I mean, the love that all the guys who played for him, I mean, they would do anything for Coach, and he was hard on him. As you guys know, if you've been around, he demanded a lot. But just that atmosphere that he created of investment and all in, and that connection that he created, I think, with the stakeholders, the fans, the people who love the Gophers and the program, it's really been amazing. And I think just watching him create that is something I've really tried to take with me more than anything, I would say, as I've become a head coach.
His situation's a bit complicated because of how it ended, but there was so much success through that. I had Mark Ryan, who just retired. He was, he's basically the sports information guy during much of Clem's time, and we discussed a little about that, about how you'd like to embrace it more, and then there's other things, and how do you want to include him, whether it's from afar or in close, with this program?
That's a great question, and I obviously some of that's out of my lane. I mean, I can only speak to my experience, right. And I probably have an opportunity more than anyone else to connect with former players. I mean, there's not a day that goes by when I'm out doing something in public. We have a group of people coming by practice today that I don't get asked about that, or man, we remember going to the barn in this era and watching it, and we love those teams in that era. It's everywhere. So you can't get away from it, and I hear it every day. And so I and whatever that looks like, I hope it was such a special time in so many ways, and I just focus on that because I know what it did for me, and I know what it meant to so many former players and fans and people. And so, maybe as we move forward, there's a way to celebrate those things even more, because it really was you guys lived it. It was a special time for our program. And I know you used the word complicated. There is some of that, but sometimes time can heal a lot.
It has.
Of things.
I think it has.
It has, and I hope it does, because that era and a lot of those people meant a lot to a lot of people, including myself. Yeah,
Guardsy and I have talked about it a lot. That particularly the Final Four team, but that era still kind of has an overarching feeling on this program.
And I want to add one other thing too. All those players really want to be involved.
Yeah.
All those guys, they love the University of Minnesota.
Yep.
They love basketball. They want to see it do well. They had fond memories. And there's so many people that have nothing but love. And I think just embracing those people. I mean, I'm with Bobby, and he just would love nothing more.
You just sound like yesterday. Right?
He and I are friends. And,
Bobby Jackson for the kids out there.
Sorry, Bobby Jackson for the kids. If you don't know, Coach Hassan will tell you Bobby Jackson's the best player I ever coached.
Yeah.
And that says a lot, knowing who he... And so anyway, I think there's that too. I think there's a lot of those players and stuff too who really, they do love this place. They love the university. They love the community. Most of them still live here,
right?
And so I hope there's a way of connecting that even more here as we move forward.
Well, last thing on this, and we'll pause and talk about your current group. I'm old enough to remember it was the 2013 Final Four in Atlanta when Michigan made it. I think for the first time with John Beilein, because they made it a couple of years later. I think San Antonio. And the big thing is the Fab Five going to show up? Because they obviously talk about complicated. They had some issues too. And Jalen was there, and Jawan was there. This is before he was coaching Ray Jackson, Jimmy. And is Weber going to show up? That was the big thing. And Weber pulls up. And, that meant so much to Michigan. It's a long, winded road to say, I'd love to see Bobby Jackson back, or Deshaun Leonard, for the kids even younger. I mean, as a 43-year-old, those are my guys. And even just being with Daryl Thompson this past weekend, like when former players are around, Niko, you know this, like everybody has a good feeling about it. It would be great to find a way to get that going.
Amen. And so I hope we can do that. And I'd love to find a way to maybe be a liaison to make that happen, because there's a lot of them that really, really care deeply.
And a lot of them have kids you'd like to play for the program, I would imagine.
That would be fun, too. Yeah. There's one of them that's playing for the Evil Empire down the road or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so anyway, there's a lot there.
I don't even text that guy back anymore.
Oh, my God. I just like,
I don't even text that guy back anymore.
Man, don't get me. But it is what it is.
Last thing, this segment. So what does happen at Summer League? Like, take us behind the scenes of Summer League, of the networking and the conversations. I know you had a bunch of former players that are out there playing or working in the league still.
So it starts with, I'm fortunate to have a lot of players, who play there. I always go there. I take them to dinner. It's awesome just to catch up and tell stories with those guys, watch them all play. It's really kind of become the epicenter of basketball right now. You have every agent, all the NBA, front office, coaches, a lot of college coaches are out there. It's really, you even mentioned it off air, it's kind of become almost the new Final Four. Yeah. So it's an unbelievable networking opportunity, get to watch people play, and it's really cool to see young people start to kind of live out their dreams and kind of take that next journey like they were a freshman again, in college here, going into the NBA. They're young, they're trying to work their way up, find their way on a roster, into the rotation. It's pretty fun to do that. So I try to go every year, at least for a couple days. I watch Dawson, yep. Garcia. I stayed yesterday to watch the Pistons. He's getting a little bit of run for them. And so hopefully we have more Gopher players who continue to get to that level. That'd be a good thing for all of us.
All right, let's pause here. We've got one more segment with Niko Medved, new men's basketball coach with the Gophers. Guardsy and Grimm are here at Football Media Day. We'll have new quarterback Drake Lindsey at the bottom of this hour as well. Continue with Niko when we come back.
Before we go, the fan at BigDeck.com, I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks in the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. Keyword is pay. The keyword pay, KFAN.com.
The last thing anyone wants is to leave behind confusion, stress, or worse, family conflict. That's why estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for families like mine, and probably like yours. With Trust and Will, I created my estate plan in minutes, from naming guardians for my kids to putting our house in a trust to avoid probate. Fast, affordable, and way easier than I thought. Every plan is designed by estate planning attorneys and customized for your state. Plans start at just $199 and include essentials like healthcare directives and power of attorney. With Trust and Will's bank-level security and built-in privacy protections, your personal information and your wishes stay safe. Whether you're newly married, raising kids, caring for aging parents, or just want peace of mind, Trust and Will makes it easy to protect what matters most. Go to trustandwill.com, use code RADIO at checkout, and save 20% on your personalized plan. Because there's no better time to protect the people you love. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Keyword PAN. Bonus Box is back on the Fan. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. To enter keywords and to learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Box is presented by BigDeck.com.
Along 9 to noon here on campus. Guardsy and Grimm in for PA today. We're at Gopher Football Media Day, but we've been talking basketball the last hour. One more segment with head coach Niko Medved on the men's side, about to head up to practice. Are you past the point where you need like the tape on the helmet for names when it comes to your new team? Because obviously you come here and you have a holdover or two, including Isaac Asima, who you talked about earlier, but like every year almost, it seems like it's probably a new group. So how's the acclimation process gone?
We've moved past that. No more green and gold, right? I know everybody's name. And they're picking stuff up. They're starting to get a feel for, a lot of the things that we do, particularly on the offensive end. And that's been fun watching those guys kind of connect, get a feel for what we're doing. And so, it's been really, really productive so far. I really like the group. As young people, I've enjoyed being around them every day. I think they're really, really trying to do, what we ask them to do. So it's been a really enjoyable group. And every day that I get a chance to go in and practice with them or whatever, I'm having fun.
You've been through now a couple, 3 or 4 year ones as a head coach. What's unique about year one and specific maybe to this year? What's the key to getting it off to the right start? Because every place you've been, year one has been kind of the foundation, and then it's off to bigger and better things.
I think, trying to keep it simple, and as I was saying, keep the main thing, and that's kind of the culture, the way you want to do things, telling this group that they have an opportunity to kind of be that group that sort of sets the standard for kind of how we want to play and how we want to do things. And I think it's really that simple. We kept it basic. There's some way that we like to play kind of on both sides of the ball. We kind of do that, but at the same point in time, it's us learning them. And guys, it's not about plays, it's about players, right? Yeah. And it's about us trying to find a way to put these guys in the best position to be successful. But it's really that. Trying to set the kind of energy that we want to play with every day. And that's been it. And I think you got to have some fun doing it, too. This can be, when we get these 8 weeks in the summer, it's a grind for these guys, too. But it's good. You kind of start to learn how hard you want to go, the intensity that you do things, the way that we want to do it. And it's been great. But it's nothing complicated, Grim. It's just that. And you hope that it translates out on the court in November.
And maybe, as media or whoever observers, we look at it in a different scope. But, like, when you're in year 3 or 4, you get it going like you had at Colorado State, that retention of players and knowledge and stuff probably is, you handle this time of year different. So from that standpoint, just trying to instill the basic part of what you want, how important is that?
It's huge, and I'll say this. I mean, we need to get to a point here in the program where we are retaining guys, and I know that from experience. If we go into year 2 and we've got a core of guys that are back, it feels completely different when you start in June. You just feel like you're starting from a different place. Your players are your best teachers and leaders of what you do, and so I guess to go back to your point, we've got one guy, Jalen Crocker-Johnson, that had any idea of what we do and how we do things. So you're really starting from a different place than you hope that we will in year 2, year 3, and year 4. That's the goal. But you just got to embrace it, and there's something that's kind of cool about the newness of it, too. We get a chance to put our stamp on something for the first time, which is pretty neat.
Speaking of retention, I know it was important to keep Isaac Asima here. It was basically a day one thing, if I remember right, fresh off the plane from the NCAA tournament. So what's it been like getting to know him a little bit better? I know you knew him a little bit before, but and what can he be, do you think?
He is really a special young man. I really, really like him. He's a talented young player. He's got a chance to I think really be a main guy here at Minnesota and in the Big Ten. But he really reminds me of a lot of these guys that have been great players as far as just the character, the work ethic. He's about the right things. I mean, every day he's trying to go in there and buy into what we're asking him to do, and he's just been a joy to be around. And he just needs to keep his head down, keep working, stay true to himself like he is. He's got a chance to be a really, really good one. He's just a young player, needs to continue to get better. But I've really, really enjoyed getting to know him as a player, as a person. And he's about the right things, guys. And I'm excited that he's going to be part of this moving forward.
There are certain approaches coaches have. I don't think we've had a chance at different various things to discuss, your background and all this. But from a philosophical standpoint, do you, at the start of a season, tell your team, we got to win 20, we want to finish top 5, we want to do this, or is your philosophy just get better today compared to what you were yesterday?
It's crazy. I'm the most competitive person in the world. I really never talk about winning or losing. We all know that's the deal, right? I mean, I think it's more about how you do things, and all coaches say it, but the process, right? And there's a certain way we want to play, and if we do those things over the course of time, the wins are going to take care of themselves. So, because I think people go in and they say, "What? Yeah, we want to win a championship. We want to win this many games." But maybe you're selling yourself short. Maybe you can be better than that.
Sure.
Maybe you're not. I don't know. That every year you go into it, and we just got to find a way to make this team the best version of themselves, whatever that is. And if we feel like we get the most out of this group, wherever the wins fall, that's all we can control. But I don't want to sell them short.
Yep.
I don't want to sell them, who knows? We're still in that process right now, but I don't talk about winning and losing. I just talk about being our best. But these guys know, and guys who played for me will know I'm as competitive as they get. So we go in there, we play to do one thing, and that's to win the game. Yeah.
Last thing, for me at least, then Grim, if you have one more, I hit it before practice. It's the rev share era. And you go for men's basketball, one of the 5 sports that obviously is going to be a part of that. So how is that whole thing gone as you try to sift through that? Is just another thing that I'm sure you've had to spend a lot of time on.
Oh man, it's just even the last 2 days. It's a topic of conversation every day, and I think it's long overdue. I think it's great that these players are going to be compensated. You look at the amount of money that the Big Ten is bringing in and TV revenue and all that. I think with this new House settlement, that's going to add a whole nother layer of complexity, so to speak, to what we're doing and what that market's going to look like. I'll be honest, JG, nobody really knows for sure yet next year exactly what that's going to look like. What the Deloitte's involvement and all that stuff is literally hot off the press right now. So we're all talking about it every day, but I don't think anybody knows exactly how that's going to impact the market. What we do know is that rev share is real, and that we're going to be participating, at the highest level like everybody else in our conference. And so I'm excited about where we stand, but guys, I still think we're years away from really finding our footing, in college athletics about what this is going to look like permanently.
It seems that's been the conversation the last couple of years. We're still a few years away. We're still a few years away, because it changes, it seems like, on a daily basis almost.
It changes, and you put up the news. I heard something about some executive order, maybe. I don't even know. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to get these guys to cut hard today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In 20 minutes. But again, it's going to keep evolving. But this new House settlement, again, adds a little bit more complexity to it. And all my discussions around the country with other coaches and agents, everyone's just kind of trying to figure out what this is going to look like permanently moving forward.
There's so much with that. We could do a whole hour or two on it, right?
Absolutely.
Specific, though, aside from, as you mentioned, I think you've mentioned stakeholders. They're going to be an important part of the NIL and all of that. But the players, in a time where you hope to create stability, there's all this daily, as JG mentioned, daily stuff changes. Do you talk to the team or the players about how to handle all this change to try to create stability? Or do you create stability so they don't have to worry? How do you do it?
I think yes. I think both. But I talk to the guys openly about everything. They're smart. They know what it is. And at the end of the day, though, we're all human beings. Kids are here because they want to get better. They want to feel cared about. They want to be in a program that they can be proud of. They want to win. They want to compete at the highest level. Those things have been that way for 100 years, and they'll be that way for 100 years after, no matter what all the outside noise is. And I don't buy into, yes, players are going to leave. They're going to look for different opportunities. But you know what? That's not everybody. I think our job is to create a program that people are proud of. They want to be a part of it. They feel like they have everything they need right here at Minnesota. We've been able to do that at the other programs that we've been at, and we're in that process of starting now. So I try not to focus on that stuff too much. I try to focus on what we can control here. And we got a great thing. We got a lot going for us here at Minnesota, and that's what I'm going to focus on, is that, and trying to build a great program. And let's leverage our strengths, because I think we got a lot of them here at Minnesota.
I think you're ready for practice off this 30-minute conversation. Yeah. Go to it. Great to see you. Thanks for taking time today. And the season's right around the corner, man, so we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Good to see you.
Yep.
Head coach Niko Medved talking Gopher basketball with us here. More from Football Media Day, including QB1 Drake Lindsey, when we come back.
The last thing anyone wants is to leave behind confusion, stress, or worse, family conflict. That's why estate planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for families like mine, and probably like yours. With Trust and Will, I created my estate plan in minutes, from naming guardians for my kids to putting our house in a trust to avoid probate. Fast, affordable, and way easier than I thought. Every plan is designed by estate planning attorneys and customized for your state. Plans start at just $199 and include essentials like healthcare directives and power of attorney. With Trust and Will's bank-level security and built-in privacy protections, your personal information and your wishes stay safe. Whether you're newly married, raising kids, caring for aging parents, or just want peace of mind, Trust and Will makes it easy to protect what matters most. Go to trustandwill.com, use code RADIO at checkout, and save 20% on your personalized plan. Because there's no better time to protect the people you love. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
KFAN.
Welcome back to Campus. Guardsy and Grimm filling in 9 to noon today for the voice of the Vikings, Paul Allen. We are at Gopher Football Media Day. Just spent about an hour on hoops. We're getting back to football now with presumptive QB1, Drake Lindsey from Fayetteville, Arkansas, joining us here in the hallway of the old Hall of Fame building. Drake, nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me.
What's it been like to transition from, I kind of say, the back pocket of Max Brosmer, because of my observations where you guys were thick as thieves, and I do want to talk about his influence and what you learned from him, but from what you had with him a year ago to now kind of taking over that role leadership-wise.
Yeah, I got to watch Max for a full 12 months of how he did it, and how he prepared to do it. Preparation was a big thing for Max with every single thing he did in his life. And then getting into January, I talked about it earlier, but it was more of like trying to find my identity as a leader, because it's a completely different thing being a presumptive starter in college football, Big Ten, compared to a high school leader. There's way more you're asked of in college. And then January, I felt like I was trying to be like Max a little bit.
Sure.
And then as I got more comfortable and growing into my skin in that role, I felt like I really developed a good leadership style for the team and what this team needed to be successful.
So how have you been able to prepare in your own way? Because with Max, obviously, we know, he had like 5 degrees by the time he got here. I think he would joke about the classes he was or was not taking. He was here to play football and, take a couple of things. You have to go to class still. You're still working on degrees and things. So how have you fit all of that in to prepare for all of it?
Yeah, I've kind of shifted towards – I have a few classes in person, but I have most of them online, which is really helping me be able to study football more. I'm making sure all my classwork's done, staying on top of that. But being in the building with Coach Harbaugh, Coach Kaler, our tight ends coach, and Keegan O'Hara, our quarterbacks coach, as much as I can, and just feeling really confident about this upcoming season. Putting a lot of work in, making sure me and all the guys feel really, really comfortable for the first game against Buffalo.
As you have gone through a spring now as the guy that is in charge, basically, of the on-field operation, what's your comfort level now compared? Obviously, it's got to be much more comfortable now compared to last year when you were probably your head was spinning a little bit as a guy who was supposed to still be in high school, basically.
Yeah, it was really good for me during the bye weeks last year because the starters would sit out, so they put the practice completely on me. And that was a challenge at first, I didn't realize how challenging it is to be the guy, leading the practices, making sure, because everybody's looking at you when you're running the practice. They really threw that on me during the bye weeks. And then during bowl prep, I had 2 straight weeks and a lot of the ones were out there except for Max. So they really just thrusted me into that position. So come spring ball, I did feel comfortable. And we had all the walkthroughs January, February, March, where I'm just taking all the reps. And then by the time I got to spring ball, I really just took off. I felt like I was already had already been kind of doing it, felt very comfortable in the role. Coach Harbaugh prepared me really well as well as Coach Fleck, just telling me what needs to happen. There's a standard always set here. That's the best thing. And then once you set that bar, you just got to keep going. And they've really set me up for success.
So this is the first time we've gotten to really to talk to you in person and dive in to really your upbringing, your life, your career. There's so much we can get in here, Drake. But I guess I'll start with, if you didn't have a good 8th grade football year, would you be overseas right now getting ready for the British Open? Because it sounds like golf was the first love, and football, you're like, from what I read, I'm going to give it one more year and then I'm done. It's over.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. So take us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So growing up, I was a huge golfer. Traveled all over the country when I was like 19 years old with my dad. My dad was my caddy, and it was really fun to experience because he played mini tour golf. So I grew up playing golf. And then I ended up playing in the World Championship for my age group at Pinehurst. And I got like 40th, and the leader shot like 13 under through 3 days. It was wild.
Do you remember who the leader was?
I don't remember, but I remember he's from South Korea.
Okay.
It was wild.
Yeah.
It was insane. And after the first day, I was actually in 6th place. I shot like 73 at Pinehurst.
Not bad.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Yeah.
So it was a very challenging course, but it was awesome. And then shifted to junior high, and I was I was tall, but I hadn't really hit my full growth spurt. So I was like, I might just stick with golf. And then 8th grade, I shot up to like 5'10", and I'd leaned up. I got a little skinnier. I could move better. I was more athletic. And then I had a really good 8th grade football season, and I was like, man, I kind of like football. I like the team camaraderie. I'm an extrovert, so I kind of like that part. That was a challenging thing with golf for me, is being by myself at the range, the chipping green, the putting green.
Right.
That's what my dad told me I had to do if I wanted to play college and professional golf. It's like, you got to go do this for 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and just be by yourself. And I kind of struggled with that. really like being around my friends and teammates, and I'm very honestly blessed and happy that I stuck with the sport now.
So then you play football, but you tear your patella playing basketball.
Yeah.
And you can't walk for 2 months, basically, right?
Yeah.
So take us through that part of the story.
Yeah, so it was right after COVID hit. It was like 3 months after in the summer, going into my freshman year. Like, I was really taking off on football. Like, I was practicing with the varsity team, like looking really, really good. And then I go to a basketball tournament in Tulsa, and it was crazy because I had we were doing that. I scored 10 points in the first half, and then halftime hits. We're going to the halftime layup line, we're getting warmed back up, and I was feeling pretty good. I've grown to 6'1", 6'2" now, so I'm getting up there almost dunking. I'm gonna go for one, go up and jump, and my knee just gives out, and I was in an instant shock. And then I looked down, and I genuinely couldn't. My kneecap was in my thigh. It was insane. I couldn't see my knee, and it was pretty wild. And then ended up having surgery about a week and a half later. And then it was a grind, but I knew I was genuinely obviously kind of scared. I was 14 years old and had to go through something it was a year-long recovery. I was really dialed in on football. I was just playing that basketball tournament genuinely for fun.
Right.
Because I needed a fill-in, and I was solid at basketball. And then talked to my surgeon literally the night, had surgery in the morning, got home, and I was just thinking to myself, all right, I got to take this super, super serious. Called him, and he told me every single step, so then I just followed every single step he had for me.
This is the voice of new Gopher quarterback Drake Lindsey from Fayetteville, Arkansas. We're at Gopher Football Media Day, Guardsy and Grimm. So I always ask athletes about that. What's the hardest part of that time period where you couldn't walk for a couple of months, right? Maybe you had to relearn how to do everything. What's that struggle like? Yeah, patellar tendon's very difficult too at first because it's how you bend your knee. So I was locked out for about 4 weeks. And my PT, Andy, he had told me it's like getting a new rubber band and stretching it out. Just keep stretching it. And he slowly started to bend my knee, and it was obviously very painful. And then relearning how to walk, getting my leg strength back because my quad was so small. It was pretty wild. But it was really awesome because he was such a good guy. We had really real conversations for a young kid, and I feel like that was the hardest thing I've been through. But obviously, I wouldn't change it for the world. Even if I could have played varsity as a freshman, and I feel like everything genuinely happens for a reason. God has a plan for every person, so it was just following his plan and following his journey for me, and just trusting it.
So you go from youth golfer to high school football star. You win the state championship. Mm-hmm. This could veer into all kinds of different topics. Do you and you were just talking about classes and football and being the leader. Do you still get out on the golf course some?
Yeah, I try to play a good amount of golf. I feel like it's a lot more fun now because I don't have to go out and grind. I can just I don't have that much time. So it's let's just go out and play 18. Play with Coy, a few of our quarterbacks, Max Jankowski, Emmett Moorhead, Dylan Wicke, try to get out there with them. But, it's very similar to golf, or golf and football are very similar from a quarterback perspective at least. Every single play in football has its own entity, and every throw is a little different, the shape, how hard you need to throw it. Every play is a little different, just like golf. You could hit one right down the middle of the fairway and then mess up your second shot and recover with your third. Every shot's different in golf. Every shot has its own entity, and just it's really fun to relate those two.
How so? Be honest here. What's your handicap? Where are you right now?
Well, I played pretty high difficulty, but of course is around here. But last weekend I played Friday at St. Croix and shot 75, and then Sunday played at Stone Ridge and shot 76.
Man,
but it's usually
pretty good.
It's usually high 70s to be honest, low 80s, high 70s. I've been playing pretty well right now, putting good, which helps.
That always helps when you can roll it. Then the side veer onto that, you get the good 8th grade year, you get over the injury, and then stuff starts to roll in football.
Yeah.
Take me through then, once it started rolling, the recruiting process, and why Minnesota?
Yeah, so going into my junior year, I knew it was kind of the year I had to take off because you can't really have an average junior year and then go into senior year with 0 offers and play big-time Division I football. At least on scholarship. So going into junior year, I just took it really serious because I knew it was the year I had to take off and have a really big year, and just grinded, that was my big grind year for myself as a 17-year-old. Just took off from there. After I got an offer right after junior year to UAB, and then got Colorado State and some other G5s, and it was kind of slow, it wasn't a crazy recruiting process. I thought I'd genuinely have more. I feel like. But then, everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't want to be in any other program, and I'm really glad it it ended up with Minnesota and with the coaching staff. I don't think there's a lot of people like Coach Fleck, how he leads the program, how he brings people. He's a really special person and a special coach to be with. So I'm very blessed to be at this program.
It's funny, too, because PJ's been talking about you now for a while, and I remember, Garza, I think you were probably part of the conversation when you won the state title. I think he and Coach Harbaugh were sitting with your family.
And Matt Simon.
And Matt Simon was there as well.
It was a full-court press.
The full-court press to keep the commitment, because at that point, that's pre-signing day. And there was, I think, some coaching changes in your home state, too, that there was a little fear from the Gopher side of things. Hey, what's going to happen here? But to have the head coach of the of the school come and watch with your family down there, what was that day like?
Man, that was awesome. I'm sitting in the hotel because it's in Little Rock, so it's a 3-hour drive. So we stayed the night in the hotel. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff, I remember. So I'm downstairs around 9. Me and my OC are looking over the script. I put my headphones on and I look to my right, and Coach Fleck comes running in, and I'm like, all right, well, I need to calm down. I never really get nervous before games, so I'm pretty relaxed. And that day I was pretty nervous because state title game was against our rival. And then all the Arkansas coaches were there as well, so I was like, all right, I wasn't really worried about the coaches part. It was just a big game, It was my last high school game against my rival, and just had to go and make a statement. And then once I got to the stadium, everything just sunk in, and all my nerves went away. Pre-game, I was just very dialed in and just ready to get out there. And then it was really cool because I came out for the captain's walk, I remember, and Coach Fleck is literally walking up with me to the captain's walk, and it was so cool because I was like, wow, this means a lot to me. I'm going into my last high school state game, and they just ended their season 4 days ago, and they're here, the OC, the co-OC, head coach, watching my state title game in Little Rock, Arkansas, and it meant a lot to me, honestly.
Well, and from what I read, the recruiting process was kind of quick, where I think you got a call from, I think, Harbaugh, basically saying, hey, we've been watching you, things look good, we'd love to have you up, and then hours later, he's like, hey, by the way, we want to offer you a scholarship, and then 3 weeks later, you were committed.
Yeah.
So kind of take us through that period a little bit when you decided to come here.
So I just got back from my Colorado State official visit, and I was genuinely thinking about hey, this might be the school I want to go to.
Fort Collins is nice.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, nice spot.
Yeah. So then I get home. I just finished school, and I'm sitting at home. It's 2 o'clock, and Keegan O'Hara hits me up and follows me. Then 5 minutes later, Coach Kaler follows me. Then about 7 minutes later, Harbaugh follows me. I'm like,
must have had a meeting.
Minnesota might be talking about me. Yeah.
I'm like, the Gophers. I remember in 2019 when they took off, that was the first thing that hit me because I was never really remembered Minnesota being a top tier program. And then when 2019 happened, I was 14, and I was like, wow, this is cool.
Right.
It was really cool to see them up there. And then they just called me and were like, hey, we can't offer you yet, but because we want to come watch you throw live. We want to make sure everything we're seeing on film is what we want to see in person. I was like, okay, that's cool. They're like, are you interested in going 10 hours away from home? I was like, yeah, I'm not worried about it. Then that night, he FaceTimes me. He's like, what's up, man? Coach Harbaugh does. FaceTimes me, talks to me. He's like, can I talk to you and your mom? I'm like, sure. I didn't think it was anything about an offer because he'd already told me.
Right.
Wait a couple weeks. He's like, all right, man, I'll give you a full scholarship. And I was like, wow. Because I remember just the feeling of him telling me in 2 weeks we're going to offer you, and then offer me that night. It just felt like he had full belief in me. And just that feeling of it was my first Power 5 offer. Just feeling wow, it just really hit home. It was Minnesota where my grandfather had played.
Yep.
The NFL is the only person that had been to Minnesota. And it just felt like it was almost destiny. I felt like something's brewing in Minneapolis, to be honest, right when I got the offer. And then just seeing 2023, how that season went, and then seeing how Max came in here and taught me and then led the team, and then this year being able to step into that role has been awesome.
Did you ever figure out what changed in those 4 hours when you say it'll be a couple of weeks, we want to see you throw live, to hey, get your mom quick? You ever figure out what changed there?
I never really figured it out, to be honest, but I just assumed maybe they kept watching and they're like, yeah, this kid's pretty good. That's what I hope so.
No doubt about it. As you your skill set is not in doubt. You've got a strong arm. I've joked a little bit, maybe even with Gargi, that for a long time, I think when Aaron Rodgers started to really get good, that's the first time I remember hearing on time, on target, that. Throw a guy open. Those two terms. With you, it's not just you, but it's become a new thing. Shape the ball. The ball. That's the new version of something with quarterbacking. Mm-hmm. But whenever we hear coaches around here talk about your skill set, it's he shapes the ball so well. What does that mean? Take us through what shaping the ball is and why you're good at it.
Yeah, I think it's part playing with a lot of anticipation, like throwing the guys right when they're breaking, throwing it. So, the ball's halfway in the air before they even turn around. I think that's how I try to play the game. I think it's harder for DBs to make a play on the ball, throwing it out on time, throwing it early, putting it in a spot where my guy can go get it. And I think that's the way to play the game, and it's challenging. You got to really trust your wideouts. But if you can play that way, it's going to help your team a lot. And I think it helps me. Like, shaping the ball, in my opinion, is I'm throwing it early and I'm not going to zip it as much. You know what I mean? Like, throwing it out route, right when he hits his third step, he's going to break out, and right when his hips drop, I'm going to put it out there with a little bit of touch, get it over that flat defender, put a little shape on it so it's easy for him to adjust. So if I miss a little bit of the sideline, it has some air on it, he can make an adjustment. And I feel like that's how I'm trying to play the game.
You're a good-sized kid now. You said you were, you got the growth spurt even when you were ninth grade, when you were kind of breaking out, so to speak, through that injury. 6'1", I think you said. You're a full 6'5" now, good frame. Mobility's pretty good too, right?
Yeah.
You feel that's a strength?
Yeah. He's like, man, what's the problem?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying a 6'5" guy with a good
You want me to do a shuttle run right now?
Yeah,
can you do
we're going to get some cones out here, and I'm going to get the stopwatch on you. No, to mix the entire skill set. Like, I think there's if you read the magazines, the ideas, what are the Gophers going to be like? Here's a key guy. Biggest question mark. A lot of those write-ups are saying quarterback. Yeah. And I don't think that's like an indictment on your skill set. Everyone, I think, knows that you can shape it, you can run, you've got good frame. But it's about the fact you haven't played a lot of games. So take us through your confidence level that you're ready to go here in Big Ten competition.
Yeah, it was awesome to get to watch it last year. I see night and day difference between myself last year and this year, but last year, I felt like if something happened, I was ready to play just because of how much mental work I had put in with Max. Like, I was thinking, he was obviously on a different level than me at that time because he was a 6-year, but I was in a lower frame of thinking how he was for a freshman. But yeah, now I put in too much work to not have confidence in myself, like confidence in my teammates, confidence in my coaches. I've been around them too much in the building from January to now, where it's like, you just got to go and you got to trust yourself and just go out there and play like it's practice. It's just a game now. There's people watching. That's the only big difference. So just go out there, relax like I would in high school. Play with the same mindset. Just when you get out there, it's just you kind of almost black out with that adrenaline and you're very excited once you get on that field.
Remember watching Max in spring ball last year early. There were some interceptions at practice, and people were like, is this kid going to be as good as not? And then Max said, look, I'm just trying to figure out in Big Ten play where I can fit a ball. And if I have to throw an interception today, that's better than throwing one in September or October. And now I know I can't 100%. Do that, or now I can zip that in there. Are you working on that part of it as well, understanding where the ball can go, where it can't, what a Big Ten caliber defensive back or linebacker is going to do in their drops and their coverage?
Yeah, 100%. I think in spring ball it was great for me to go against guys like Coy, Kerry Brown, Aiden Gooseby, because, genuinely, in my opinion, I think there's not a better safety core in the country with 3 guys. There's no doubt in my mind. Those guys are flying around. And it was great for me. Like, last year, he transferred from the FCS, so I feel like the college jump's a little bit different than, like, you're coming out of high school and you're like, man, I got nothing to lose. Like, I'm just going to go out there and sling it. And I feel like as my freshman year, I kind of learned more about the windows, like watching Max, like seeing that stuff. So this year it was like, it wasn't as big as that. It was more just like getting the team around me, having them have faith in me, working as hard as I can, being in the building nonstop, that kind of thing. Because I feel like I see the field pretty well, so I feel like that's one of my strengths is throwing with anticipation and on time.
So you have to go against Coy, but it sounds like you're also going to have Coy on your side a little bit. That came out of spring practice. Everybody had fun with the split jersey thing. So we don't need the all-22 of everything that you're planning to do with Coy Parrish on offense, but what type of wrinkle can that be for you guys?
I think it can be very, very useful in the words. Like, I think he can do a lot of things that a wide receiver can do. It's just he doesn't have that much in his head. We tell him one thing he's got to do. He's just like, all right, I'm going to do this. He doesn't have to think that much because he's more worried about defense. So it's just me and him being on the same page. Like, when we break the huddle, it's more of a me and him thing. Me telling him what I want, and he's going to go do it. He's very explosive. He's very, very explosive with the ball in his hands. Just got to get the ball in his hands, and he's got great hands. Some of the best hands I've seen, especially from a DB. What they usually say about DBs, but
right.
It's unreal. Like, he makes very, very challenging catches, can fly down the field. So I think it's going to be very useful.
We started the show with Darius Taylor, who will also be useful to you. He was useful to Max Brosmer coming out of the backfield. So what's it been like working more intimately with him as your running back and a guy that you're going to be looking for a lot?
Yeah, he's great because when we're in the backfield, it's constant communication, whether it's like clock, like him talking about the clock. Like he's very aware. And it's great. I think the thing that he's so valuable using the check down is because he's so intertwined with the pass blocking scheme. He knows exactly his assignment on every single protection. If I change it, it's me and him talking, hey, you got this guy now, you got this guy. If not, get out quick. And if you watch him on film, his eyes are so fast, and he gets out of the backfield very quickly. And I think that's why Max utilized him so fast too, is because if Max saw a lot of lift from the defense, he was just going to get right down to Darius because he knew Darius could make a play. There's not many running backs like him with the hands he has and what he can do with the ball in his hands. So it's very useful to have a back like that.
When we chatted with him, about an hour, I guess a little over an hour and a half ago, whenever it was, I asked him about that Max really was great at utilizing him. And I said, do you think that'll be similar? And I thought the answer was just going to be, oh, absolutely, we're going to do. And he's like, it's going to depend on the quarterback and what the defense does. Yeah. And if it works, it works. He's like, if receiver number one's open downfield, I hope he throws it to receiver number one. But he was kind of saying, I'm willing and ready when it happens. So maybe you can't predict this. Do you think you'll be more aggressive than Max Brosmer or try to follow in his footsteps? Or do you need a game or two under your belt to really figure out your mindset that way?
Yeah, I think genuinely I am a little more aggressive. Like coming from where my high school was, like I played in high school where air raid. So we're just throwing the ball down the field. Yep. Like when I got here, I had to really focus a little bit on using the check down sometimes because in high school I never used the check down. So it's like developing where it's like really just going through my progressions. Like I feel like genuinely I am a little more aggressive than Max, but it's really just going through all my progressions, like 1, 2, 3, 4, getting to my running back if I need to. But I mean, if it's there and if it's a 50-50 ball and it's Javon on a guy or Lemecki on a guy or Ken or any of those guys on one-on-one and I like my matchup, then I'm going to take it. Yeah. I feel like it's a little bit different, but I feel like I might be a little more aggressive than Max, but in a good way. Yeah.
Last minute or two with Gopher quarterback Drake Lindsey, Guardsy and Grimm here from Gopher Football Media Day. More football coverage coming up in the final hour. I would put this in the classification, Drake, of questions you have to answer for like a summer, and then they're never again put out there. And it has to do with, you're obviously from Fayetteville. University of Arkansas is there. Your family's got a lot of Arkansas in them, right?
Yep.
And I know it was a story that's kind of been out there that they didn't really recruit you all that much until maybe late, like we were talking about earlier, and it sounds like that really drives you.
Yeah.
Take us through that a little bit. That a place where you could walk to basically from your house wasn't really in on you very early, and what that means for you just in your day-to-day motivation.
Yeah, it's the biggest blessing that could have happened to me, to be completely honest, because everybody in my family has gone to Arkansas. Like, there's not one person in my family that has genuinely not gone to the school of Arkansas. So it's a big blessing for me because I'm also a lot more outgoing than the rest of my family. Like, I like to talk to other people. I like to do different things. I like to, hang out with more people than, like, I feel like my dad. My dad's more closed in on a circle, very small circle, but has his friend group as well. But, it's huge motivation. I feel like that's one of my biggest things. I look in the mirror and it's like, you were not wanted. Like, everyone's not going to want you, but it's like the school that you grew up going to, like, always going to games. And there was no doubt in my mind growing up, like, I'm going to play at Arkansas, whatever sport it is. Like, there was no doubt I was going to be a Razorback, and I wasn't, which is honestly, God did it for a reason, because I've changed my mental, like, going from you think you're going to the school and they're going to want you to, like, being told no to your dream school is like a huge, just like, slap in the face, to be completely honest. And it's like having a school that completely believes in me is what I needed. Just for Minnesota to see, like, what I can do on the field and who I am as a person, to bring people around me and get people going. So every time when I'm feeling a little down or not feeling the most motivated in a day, like everybody can have, it's like, all right, let's get it going. Like, there's people that are doubting me all over the country, and it's not really looking at the external. It's just like the facts. Like, I'm really excited to just be myself this year and be a great quarterback for the Gophers.
So what was that like? We mentioned all the coaches flying down to the state championship game, because you said the Arkansas coaches were there too. There was a coaching change. What was that period like for you? Was it a conflicting time or a weird time, or I know you tweeted at the time, I'm 1,000% committed to Minnesota. Because that's heady stuff for a young guy too, right? I mean, you're making life decisions here.
Yeah, it was, because I remember, 2 days before the state game, my high school was literally a 3-minute walk to the stadium at Arkansas. And we walked to the stadium to practice that day. And, everybody, obviously the coaches, you kind of see them up there walking around in the weight room, watching. And I just had my Minnesota towel on. I was just I was over it. I was over all the talks of just because the thing that was crazy was when the new offensive coordinator got hired, it was all over Twitter Drake Lindsey, is he finally going to come to Arkansas? And I'm they really weren't even talking to me, which was the wild thing. Everyone thinks they were recruiting me at the end, but genuinely they weren't. I felt like it was kind of already over at that point. It was 20 days till signing day. It was pretty much over. They had their guy. I was fully committed no matter what to Minnesota because they had believed in me, and I felt like it was the best opportunity for me to come in and make an impact at a young age. So there was really no conflict. It was more so than Twitter almost just blowing up. So I just had to let everybody know that I was not going anywhere from the Gophers, because Gopher fans were flipping out. My Coach Flex and all the coaches are freaking out. I'm like, they're not recruiting me. I was telling them, and I don't know if they fully believed me, because they were like, oh, he might just stay home at the last second. And that wasn't the case, but it was I could 100% see, if I was a coach, I'd flip out too, because it's your quarterback, and it's hard to find good quarterbacks to come in and make an impact.
Well, they're fired up to have you. In fact, that was PJ Fleck when he heard that the coaches from Arkansas maybe were talking to you. Drake Lindsey, great to meet you, man. Thanks for spending so much time with us. There's Greg Harbaugh. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Where's Matt Simon? That's actually Houston Nutt, the old Arkansas coach. He's still mad that Arkansas didn't recruit.
That's my guy.
Yeah, Drake Lindsey.
Guy.
Yeah, he loves you. But great to meet you in person. It was fun to watch you with Max a year ago from my vantage point on the sideline and in the locker room and everything. And we're looking forward to seeing you on the field this fall.
Sir. I appreciate you all a lot.
New QB1, Drake Lindsey here from campus. More football discussion and a little bit more when we continue next hour.